I actually have a bit of a disagreement with your point. I think this match has the potential to be quite close, honestly.
Okay, do you?
In particular, yes, with the Boston Uprising. And I think that, although from the sounds of it with Gator's interview and Houston kind of setting trends with this double shield composition, I still think teams could make the rush work on certain maps as well. Definitely. Now, it's still, I'm not going to make the claim that it's going to be like an even 50-50, but I think it has a lot of potential, this match. It's going to be certainly, I think, going to be much closer than our previous one that we just watched.
Well, I mean, a lot of people should be expecting this to be a good game, because if you talk about Boston and what they've been able to accomplish, they're 2-0 right now. They have the wins on the board that would set you up to be a decent team. Like the desk was saying, they need to win this game, and they're into the knockouts. Now, the problem to me, though, Brian, is that when you look at the teams that they actually beat, they got wins over the Titans and then over the Florida Mayhem. And in the current context of what's going on in North America, those aren't the most impressive wins in the world. So even though they did only drop a single map during that run, I don't think they look as dominant, as coordinated as the Houston Outlaws right now. I could absolutely be proven wrong, and this is still a squad with a decent amount of talent. But to me, they're towards the middle of the pack, whereas Houston are really punching up at the top.
Well, let's take a look at the Houston Outlaws and their starting lineup and who we're going to be seeing in that regard. And yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment that Boston are going to be punching up, particularly in this game here. And this Houston squad is really starting to come alive a lot as time goes on, honestly. I think there were a lot of criticisms, I think, of the Outlaws early on in the season. Juby obviously was such a fresh face, but at this point, he's got some games under his belt. We're at the, beyond the midway point of this season. He's starting to be more comfortable in this squad. They've got Django and Piggy back in as well. I love this tank duo. I think splitting them up in the first place was a pretty bad idea. Their synergy is amazing as a duo. And of course, Dante and Happy, you're not going to see any arguments from me with this DPS line. They have been performing above and beyond.
Everyone expected the DPS line to be excellent, but it's the tanks and the supports that have just elevated the Houston Outlaws above anybody's expectations. The backline of Juby and Crimzo was thought to be perhaps a little weak, Juby coming straight out of collegiate. The improvement this guy has made on the main support position is dramatic. He started off only being comfortable on Lucio, and now he's been able to pick up the Brig, pick up the Mercy, put player and coach Jake back on the bench where he can focus more on coaching with Juby playing the majority of the time. So I'm loving everything that I'm seeing from the Houston Outlaws. They are a team that's made progress over the whole course of the season, and they didn't start that bad either. They came straight out of the gates with wins over Dallas and the Shock, and now they're looking to just continue that trend. 9-1. This is a season like no other for the Texan team.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been an age since this team was looking so good, this franchise, I should say. It's a completely different team almost in its entirety.
They didn't even have moments like that, I'm gonna be honest. Like, at the very beginning of Season 1, maybe you could say that they looked like this, yeah. But they didn't have like a 9-1 record, punting for every time going to the stage finals. So this is consistency and excellence. And yeah, really the only player that they've managed to keep the franchise is Dante, and they're building around him. I suppose if you don't consider player and coach Jake, who is also a long-time member of the Houston Outlaws squad. But this is pretty much a full rebuild for the 2021 season, and every piece has just worked.
It's really coming alive and coming together. Now, the Boston Uprising looking to grab a win here today. Remember the stakes that are on the line, I should say, for both these teams. A win, and they go into the knockouts, and that's what they're all playing for here. The Boston Uprising going for something very, very unusual here. So going to be playing a lot more of a floaty dive composition, trying to play around the hacks, and trying, I suppose, cycle a lot of this nano blade action. The Houston Outlaws going for something a lot more standard.
Yeah, the Boston Uprising, they need to get hacks onto probably Crimzo to be able to set things up. The Houston's composition is extremely tanky, so we need big value out of I'm37. And then the Genji is a strange one too.
Yeah, Dante spotted him. Stand one. Good shield bash there. Maybe with the initiation just not quite happening. Maybe they were trying to set something up with I'm37, and with him having to relocate back to the rest of his team, it could have disrupted the timing that they were going for. But it will mean that the Houston Outlaws, they've gained the most important part, I suppose, when you're running this composition, is trying to get that first capture, and now they can hold the forward positioning.
Whoa, Valentine was so close to being picked off there. The rest of his team was just coming back up to spawn. And Stan One is getting bullied. Valentine and Stan One are both so lucky to get out with their lives there. But they have fed Myungbong this nano boost charge. Who does it go on to, though? Presumably stand 1 because Valentine is so far away from the blade.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, you would assume it would be. And yeah, it looks like they're setting up for that initiation, that play. Oh my god, the shot's ringing true. Myeonbong almost going down there, but with that nano boost, maybe building up that primal rage. 70%. Just needs to try and take care of that turret, but as that was happening, that time 37 taken out. I think that was a flashbang to assist as well, catching him off guard. Still in the fight though. Dante taken out means that it's an opportunity for them, but with that gravitic flux, it's all but over now.
They did a huge amount of damage, Boston Uprising, with the engage, but they just didn't have anyone pressuring the back. And that's where you see the Shanghai Dragons, for example, running the Tracer and the Sombra, because the Tracer has so much more mobility to follow up on those kind of dive engages from stand 1, from your Winston. I mean, they play with a ball, but it's the same kind of concept. Whereas Valentine has just not really been able to have impact in these fights. He now has a blade, but they don't have the nano. So EMP blade could be coming out here.
Yeah. We see the Deadeye being used, actually. How are they just holding this? I'm not sure the positioning. Okay, just holding on to the high ground. It actually pushes them away. Yeah, and the blade's not going to get anything off the back of it. Now, Django did go down, take away the primary anchor, I suppose, of what was opening things up for you. And now with Piggy going, that's the last piece that they needed to fall down to try and get this teamfight win on the go. So Boston finally just finding a crack in the armor. They pierce right through it now, in control. Just got to rotate these ultimates effectively now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What do you really work with here? So the first thing you need is aggression from Stan 1 and Valentine, probably with a Primal Rage. But you can't give up this high ground and forward hold position. You need this to be able to stop the Houston Outlaws from getting in good positions. So I think they've backed off way too far here. They're trying to wait for the Nano Blade, oh sorry, not the Nano Blade, the Nano Boost to come online so that they can push back onto the backline with Stan 1. But I think it's going to come out too late.
We see a lot of that all actually getting ate up, but finally the Molten Core goes down. Like Nickelodeon slime just all over the floor. Valentine catches Crimzo, takes him out. That's no amplification matrix. Houston Outlaws missing a healer as well. That's pretty ideal, honestly. In the Boston Uprising, yeah, this is a great team fight for them to be taking. Stanmon needs to get out of his life, but he's already split up the tank line, drops the bubble. Going to be splitting them up further, and a great team fight win here for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, they actually did execute on that really well. I was concerned that they'd given Houston Outlaws too much space, but at the same time, when Stan 1 and Valentine dove onto the backline and found Crimzo, no one from the Outlaws really turned around. I don't think that was properly communicated, that Crimzo was under so much threat. They were probably dealing with I'm37 at the same time. So Boston have cycled their ults effectively, and now they have Nano Blade potential. So this is a good opportunity for Boston to get back into this round.
Ult's available. Now we see the Nano Blade. That is instantly Crimzo is taken out into the Gravitic Flux to try and counteract it. Valentine will get sent straight up into the air. The turret does the job, but they've already got the picks they need.
Yeah, this
a lot of kills going their way. 92% now for Boston. This ult rotation has worked out, and it's Houston Outlaws who are the ones who have to press forward. They need to touch this point, otherwise they're going to lose this round.
And there's no one that's able to do it. The EMP comes out towards the end from I'm37, and they lock it up. Boston Uprising playing compositions that are reminiscent perhaps of what we saw very early on in this stage from the Los Angeles Gladiators, with a lot of Sim being used, with a lot of Sombra being used at the same time as like a Genji or a Doomfist. The idea being that if you start to generate those ultimates and you can play aggressive, you are always the ones that are dictating the tempo. The crucial fight, though, was when Stan 1 was able to get value out of his primal. The death of Crimzo without having to use an ult is the kind of thing that Houston Outlaws cannot afford. Dropping a player when Boston haven't been cycling their ults effectively just means that you are going to lose. And now Houston, they look like they're changing things up completely, maybe to try and match the tempo of Boston Uprising. Dante making the move over to the Echo.
Mirror match on either side with the compositions. It is the Houston Outlaws who think that they can play this comp better than what the Boston Uprising have put out. Maybe this is something that they've discovered in scrims as well. Big bayonet on either side, but this is the backline of the Houston Outlaws. Just gets caught there. Still happy trying to even it out as well. He takes out I'm37, the tank line. A lot of pressure being applied. Punk has to just try and peel away for them. A huge bayonet again. The Outlaws just really unable to push through. Myeonbong building up 62% of his ult. He's got a slight advantage off the back of the impact that he's having, but it will be the early point now in control here for the Boston Uprising.
And I love this reposition from them as well. They're not just grouping up around the objective. They're going to try and tank a bit of damage onto Stan 1, feed Myeonbong his Nano Boost charge, and then re-engage with that. But Crimzo is now ahead. Chengdu's pretty weak though, and this is going to be an even fight.
Yep, Nano Boost straight round the side there. Valentine, though, he had the flight. He took out Dante, and he's got out scot-free. They need to try and protect Myunbong, though. The beam coming through onto him. That is a great whip shot to try and peel him away. Now we see it's going to be the Primal Rage committed. Django needs to get this kill to try and turn it around. Happy's already doing a decent amount of work. He's just about to get it, but slipped. Booped off, but has the leap. He's going to be back into safety here. The fight continues. Pulse Bomb is good. It's going to be connecting, gets the D-Mech there onto the D.Va. A little of a throwback to 2018 as well, all over the place today, but we're seeing this fight turning out in the favor here of the Houston Outlaws. They are winning it out.
That was so close to going wrong for Houston, though. The sleep dart coming out from Myunbong nearly knocked Django off the side. He just got woken up in time to be able to leap away, and that could have changed the fight utterly. Houston, though, with a good recovery, and they are now massively in the lead when it comes to Nano Boost charge. They're probably going to be fairly even when it comes to the Echo as well. It's really interesting watching Dante fight against Valentine. There was so much hype around Valentine coming in as a rookie for Boston, but he hasn't really showcased that all year. He's had glimpses, flashes of brilliance, but it hasn't been consistent.
Rally has to be popped off here. Shield bashing back to the safety of their team. Someone slept up. Get tickled a little bit here. The point's still in control, by the way, of the Houston Outlaws, but Valentine with that Primal, that is all enough damage being done. Look at it, he's actually going to get 2. It's not the cleanest in the world, but it doesn't have to be when it's indoors. Easy pickings.
Yeah.
It's Boston flipping it over.
And so far in this round, the Echo diff is going the way of Valentine. Much better duplicate there, copying over onto the Winston, whereas Dante copied the Brigitte late towards the end of the fight. Plus, if you wind your mind back a couple of team fights ago, the Valentine kill onto Dante was crucial to giving Boston Uprising an advantage early on. So far, so good for the rookie on Boston.
Happy laying down that pulse bomb. He's going to start to apply a bit of a presence now onto this point to try and at least divert some eyes over to it. Nano Boost onto Dante, but he misses the sticky bombs. The flight just about faded, and that's Valentine. Just drop him around the corner. Puts him down, takes him out of the fight. The Boston Uprising with the ultimate advantage of winning out the team fight.
This is incredible stuff from Boston. They're way overperforming what I thought they were capable of. Absolutely proving my expectations wrong. I don't think anyone can even get here. It's 97%. The Trace is miles away. Oh, Django just gets his tippy toes on the objective.
Primal Rage, Bionade applied. He's getting burnt down pretty rapidly now. Has to just back off. Round the corner, back up now, but a huge Bionade from Crimzo could be enough to turn this one. Catches onto 2 targets. Sleep dart, though. Django can't take this fight. Still even. It's up to Happy and the Piggy, actually. It's not even at all. The rally armor comes through. Boston, they've got all the sustain in the world, and they just track down Piggy, take him out, and the overtime goes down to nothing. And that is going to be the map. Going towards the Boston Uprising, taking it away, and upsetting a lot of our expectations early for which way this series was going to go.
Yeah, that is a fantastic start straight out of the gate from Boston. They showcased some really unusual compositions when it comes to specifically Ruins, where they were running the ball with the Sombra Genji and then moving over to the Winston, but they found good value out of it, and specifically Valentine as well, showcasing the hype that he came into the season with and realizing that in a big match. Remember that this is win and in for both of these teams to get into the Summer Showdown knockouts. It is crucial that they continue the momentum that they've got, both of these teams, with their 2-0 start here.
Really heating up, and we're going to go to a short break, and obviously on the other side of it, the series is going to be continuing. We'll find out if the Houston Outlaws can answer back of what the Boston Uprising are throwing out at them. If they can potentially get a map on the board against them, we'll find out soon enough. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League action after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and jumping straight into it, let's take a look at our Indeed player resume, and we're going to take a closer look at Valentine as well. This guy with a couple of accomplishments as well, but relatively a bit of an unknown quantity, I think, coming into this year. But if that last map was anything to judge it off, this guy, I mean, he's got buckets of potential that's being met as we speak, kind of getting the diff on Dante when it comes to the Echo Jewel.
And that's unexpected, because even though Valentine was a hyped-up rookie coming into this year, and people on the Boston Uprising particularly were saying, wait until you see this guy, wait until you see him, he's just brimming with potential. We haven't really seen that realized over the course of the season. He's been good in moments, but he hasn't been consistently excellent. So this beginning to this match, he is turning up exactly when his team needs him, both on the Genji at the beginning and then on the Echo afterwards. At the Echo in particular, I would not say most people would expect him to get the better end of Dante. Dante's Echo is notoriously excellent, but he did.
He certainly did. Map leaderboard presented by Xfinity here for Anubis. You can see the Uprising set a record against the Dallas Fuel back in 2018. Long time ago. Now you're going to send your mind spiraling backwards to really remember what even happened then, I suppose. I mean, I can't even remember the circumstances of that, but it was clearly a very rapid time.
It was probably part of their perfect stage when Boston Uprising went 10-0 underneath the coaching of Krusty, just around that kind of time when Krusty was moving over to the San Francisco shop. It was, yeah, a really interesting story for both of these franchises. But again, Boston Uprising essentially have changed every single player since then. So these teams do not mirror those performances in the slightest. Both teams, though, looking to build off of poorer performances over the last couple of years. The Houston Outlaws have finished 16th in their recent regular season showings. This year, massively different. The Boston Uprising, last year, they were only able to get 2 wins. This time around, they're way ahead of that. They're at 5-5, and they're knocking on the door of being able to take this one, too.
Can you imagine a win against the Houston Outlaws for the Boston Uprising? I mean, it's exceeding, I think, everyone's expectations. It's almost rewriting the script as well. I mean, so many people high up on the Houston Outlaws for good reasons. This is a squad with unbelievable talent, and they've been showcasing it. But Boston definitely showing that they're not willing to just stand down too easily just yet.
And I mean, the little factoid at the bottom of your screen just there, the last time these two teams played on Anubis, it was part of that El Clasico at the beginning of the 2020 season, the 7-mapper with Jerry falling into the drink. What a difference this is in terms of the quality of play from these two franchises.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for it. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
As much as people love to see us cast those types of matches, you know, I'd much rather be casting two very good teams on the other side of it, which is what's happening here.
The positioning from both of these DPS players from Boston, they're playing Genji Tracer dive, but I'm 37. He was flanking around the side and he can't do anything. And now the Boston Uprising take all of that initiative and they just forge forwards. They deal with the threat in the back, they push the front line. That's the hallmark of a really aware and decisive team. But you can see what Boston are doing there, trying to flank around the Genji Tracer and get the dive. Been a long time since we've seen this comp do well.
It really is. And we'll see what they've got up their sleeves for it. It relies a lot on Valentine getting set up in position for these dives, as well as I'm 37, as you mentioned as well. But Houston not messing around and getting the full stagger onto Punk as well, which is just brutal. Gonna have to switch back and switch to D.Va again just to get the mech back. Now, what I want to know is as well is how do you break this that the Houston Outlaws have won that first team fight, because they've got the ult advantage coming into it now, Josh.
Again, it's just about getting your DPS in good positions. They need to get Valentine probably on a flank angle. He's probably looking to pass through these windows up at the top and get around behind Houston. But you've probably got to bait out this amp matrix too before you go for it. I think just aggressing with a nano boost engage here would be a mistake.
What?
And Dante just destroys them.
Dante, I mean, I was paying attention to Crimzo as well because I was like, okay, he's got good positioning. He lays down the Am Matrix. And someone tried to contest him onto the high ground, had to turn away, otherwise he was going to get absolutely blown up by the damage coming his way. It didn't even matter. Dante just gets the backline with one pulse bomb. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, the timing on this is so good, but because Boston are playing slowly, Houston have all the time in the world to be able to formulate their plan. That is a gorgeous pulse, though. So close to being able to like land on Fate's shield and get just no value. But now they've used their nano boost, so they don't have a nano blade potential. And even though Stanmon has his primal, which should be a fantastic tool to work with, they can't use like nano and then primal to disrupt the Orisa comp so much. So a bit of a wasted opportunity there, that prior team fight.
Ult into backline rallies comes from both teams. You can see I'm37 now has made his way up onto the high ground. That's the blade comes through. That was as soon as the immortality field was forced out. It's going to be 2 down. Bomb to try and push them away. Valentine, though, not going to get too much more with that blade. Just needs to try and take out Dante, but Dante's grabbed up the health pack. This fight continues. Needs to win out this fight. The reload might be struggling here, but Valentine eventually finds it.
And good work from Valentine once more, finding value from the blade. Houston didn't seem like they were ready for that. Crimzo was getting harassed by M37. Happy wasn't in a position to Deadeye, which is a good zoning tool whenever you see a Genji with a Dragon Blade towards you. And the bomb from Piggy was a little too late. So Boston, again, with these unorthodox compositions, they're finding ways to crack open Orisa comps from Houston.
And you can see Dante just trying to mark his adversary. I'm 37, and Dante's a guy who we think of when we think of some of the best Tracer players in the world. He's up there. It's a hard task for I'm 37 to do, but he's getting the support of his team. And the positioning's been worked around. Boston, they managed to waddle their way through Dark, immediately get rid of that supercharger. The Fortify comes out there from Django just to try and stay alive. Recall, not available for Dante's. He's just trying to peel away and potentially follow up on any sort of damage, but Django goes down. Scored on 37 with that health pack being gained, just trying to stay alive, stay back into it. Self-destruct off and around the corner, pushes the Houston Outlaws away. Still, they try and take the fight even further forward. Recall comes out from them, and that's Django with the power driver. I'm37 is out of the fight, but a tick has been gained now for the Boston Uprising. Probably not going to be winning this fight. Still, they're getting the pickoffs anyway, but Houston are coming in with some very, very healthy members. Both the support line and the tank lines are just trying to follow this up. It's going to be hard for Boston to win it out.
Yeah, the Boston Uprising have got to reset here, but they still have tools, and they managed to gain a single tick. So this is all good stuff from the Boston Uprising. They've still got time in the bank. And they've forced the Houston Outlaws to make some very different moves with their comp. Django had to go over to the ball, which was effective, now moves back over to Orisa. And Dante thought about matching Tracer for a while to try and keep I'm37 in check, but now moves over to Torbjorn, probably because they realize there's going to be a big blade engage in this next team fight. And the Torb is good at being able to try and keep Valentine in check. The Nano Blade, though, is just going to be brutal, I feel.
Well, it's available, it's ready and waiting. They need to set up positioning for it. So you can see them trying to mark Valentine, always calling out the positioning of him, because you can't let him just get free reign when he has the blade. They know it's coming. Here it comes, the Nano Blade, straight through them. He's going to be finding 2 pickoffs off the back of it, just slicing and dicing through them. That is ridiculous. The bomb over the top, but it's a little bit too late there from Piggy. The Torb turret will be gone as well. They just need to push away a couple of these players left standing. Piggy just trying to stall it out. Happy over onto the Tracer now. Django back over onto the ball. Power driver down, but it only stops them for but a moment. A Matrix from the side. Crimzo wants to try and at least clutch this one up, but he's being pressured back as well. Stand One's Primal Rage really doing all the business to try and push them back. Bit of a beat there with the jump, but now back in line of sight of his team to get the heals up. Just need to clear these players off and get the time on the board.
Punk with the self-destruct as well, takes down Piggy, and Crimzo's been slept for an easy dismissal. Whoop, he managed to get out of that with a fade, but it's not going to be too much longer. And the Houston Outlaws, they cannot hold on, not even until overtime. Boston and Valentine at the tip of the spear are making mincemeat of the Outlaws. This style from Boston that we've only seen before from the Gladiators is hyper effective against the turtley bunker style of Houston. They can't quite deal with this aggression.
And it's hard, I think, when they play with such speed. You gotta be really on top of your game in terms of understanding what the win conditions of your opponents are and how to mitigate that with either positioning or marking your opponents. But Yeah, it's Boston. This is a new and improved Boston. Now, obviously, this map is not over just yet. I mean, we're singing the praises of Boston because, rightfully so, we thought that they were going to be the underdogs in this match. And they are going toe-to-toe with the Outlaws, but still an opportunity for them to set potentially even a better time on the Outlaws side of things, but we've definitely got a match on our hands.
We certainly do. The Houston Outlaws have been decent at being able to adjust in these series, but look at the fight that they take here. The Houston Outlaws have made the call to try and take the fight early before Boston Uprising can get set up with their ultimates. But Arisacoms, generally speaking, want to try and create space away from Divecoms and utilize the poking advantage to make it very difficult for them to approach. So you're trying to poke down Stand 1 from a distance, poke Valentine a little bit, and then back up as he Genji dashes into you with that blade. So very opposite approach from the Houston Outlaws. Didn't end up working that time around, but these are the kind of things that they're throwing at Boston to see what sticks. Actively trying to make the adjustments as the series goes on. And Boston, again, they're going to be the aggressors. Playing Echo Tracer, it is their responsibility to attack. If they just wait, Houston Outlaws with their tankier composition are just going to be able to mow their way forwards. So it's really crucial here that Crimzo and Juby are aware that Valentine and M37 are going to dive onto them as soon as they push through the choke.
That's an Immortality Field forced out early there, but they get the stuns up. Stam 1 just could not move. Too much crowd control with the shield bash and the flashbang. A wonderful pickoff for them. Now Myeongbong is sending in those Bionades. You can see them. 3 players were caught just there, but with Faith taken out, it's not looking too good for them. Still, Myeongbong alive in the fight, but that D-Mech onto Punk means that they're not going to have any sort of tank presence whatsoever. So Outlaws now with a lot more firing power, still going to be holding up onto this point. Now Boston don't want to give this up. They're looking like they want to get in a position to recontest this one, Josh.
Take your medicine.
They're looking like it. Myeongbong about to get the nano boost online as well. Oh, a bit of healing onto Stam 1 and he would have had it available, but it's just not there. Not that it hurts them too much. They didn't use any ults. They get the fast respawns. They are feeding the Outlaws ult bank a little bit, but Outlaws don't have anything massive to be able to roll through here. Maybe a rally is the closest thing they have to keep this snowball going.
They've staggered them out so much that they didn't get the fast spawns. Myeongbong's only just coming back alive with the nano boost. It's an opportunity for the Outlaws. This is a real big opportunity. Nano boost still available. Myeongbong should be back into the fight, but I'm37's taken out because Outlaws have the positioning off the back of that. They've taken the 5v6 fight, and it's right in their hands now. Initiation into the back line, along with a South Destruct come through, but Stam 1's not going to get anything done with it. Piggy going to be demeched, but he has that South Destruct to be right back into the action. Now Happy moving forwards to the rest of his team, just trying to get one sort of sight line on his adversary. I'm37 right into the corner. This is potentially salvageable here for Boston. I'm37 dodging, juking, avoiding every single shot. The recall comes through. Happy just can't quite find it, and he's bought time for them.
That's an unusual whiff there from Happy, but even so, even if he'd killed I'm37, I'm not sure that Houston would have had opportunities. They do get 2 ticks, but the kills onto Django and Piggy, plus the fact that there was a rally and a Primal Rage about to come back in, would have given Boston their chances to stabilize. The thing is, though, Houston Outlaws have some huge ultimates to work with here. They can work their way through Dark, set up with a Supercharger or an Amp Matrix and take all of this space on the objective. Stand 1 would have to push past the Amp Matrix with his Primal to be able to stop this.
Oh, it's so hard to do. Big Bionades into the back with the bomb, trying to coordinate it! Holy! That is so much damage. On top of that, the remake, definitely just the cherry on top there. And yeah, Boston holding strong.
Playmaking from the Boston Uprising tank line. That's Punk and Stan 1 combining together. The Primal Rage, I'm assuming, knocked people out of the Immortality Field because Crimzo did have it down. And you'd think they'd be able to stay inside of it, but probably a really nicely coordinated play there from the tank line of Boston. And that's what I said. Stan 1 had to pop his Primal, had to push past the Amp Matrix, and Houston simply weren't ready for it. Those are some massive ults now that Houston does not have access to. This time back could end up being pretty even.
Really good. 2 ticks on the line, nano boost in close quarters. Myeongbong is getting pressured so heavily. But Piggy, as he dove for that kill, is just going to get demeched and killed and taken out. So
he was the only one in.
Time being spent off the clock here. Now, the Outlaws did manage to get that one ultimate off the nano boost, I suppose. Then they kind of removed it away from the next team fight that's going to be happening, which could be an opening for them. But they take a long time getting into these team fights when you're running this composition. It's slower. Gator was saying it's a safer composition to run as well, which was his kind of counterpoint, I suppose, but it is definitely slower trying to take these active engagements.
It is slower, and also you don't control your own destiny in some cases. It's based on Boston Uprising making mistakes. You can see Myunbong going for the flanks, trying to get these Bionades off, and he's landing them every time. There's another one on top. In Django, they isolate Crimzo, take him out of the engagement. And now Outlaws are stuck here without their primary healer. And Boston Uprising can push them with a rally, they can push them with Stam 1, with a blade, anything.
The blade. Oh my goodness. The rotation of ultimates. It's excellency. True enough, that is just absurd. The Boston Uprising just showcasing, I'm okay. Yeah, they had a little bit of a slip up there on checkpoint A, but they've whittled down this time bank when it was looking so dangerous now to just 2 minutes.
And you might say, oh, why did they use the blade there? They had already got the pick on Crimzo, they had already won the fight. But those cleanup kills feed Stand 1 his primal rage. And so now you can engage with Myunbong throwing a Bionade and Stand 1 jumping in, take the nano boost, primal rage afterwards, and you have more win conditions just over and over again. The ult cycle is so good from Boston.
Has to be big here, though, as the Outlaws have got a lot to work with. They've been building up these ultimates slowly but surely. Immortality Field comes through. The support line pushed back. That's going to be a Molten Core used defensively, just to stop them from playing into. But with the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage overlapped, Stan 1 is so healthy, waiting for the rest of his team. Now going to be engaging, trying to push them forwards to see if they can pick anybody off. Big Bionade onto Happy. He's going to be going down from the leap there, right into the choke point. Stan 1 happily collecting up these eliminations with the help of his team. And now this time bank now, it's going to be down to the final minute that the Houston Outlaws are working with here. They're using up these critical ultimates in the process, and the Boston Uprising building some of their own.
Yeah, now is the point, though, where the window opens again for Houston. They're a minute on the clock. They now have the ultimate advantage. Supercharger is huge. But remember what happened last time? They tried to go left side, and Crimzo got picked. Look at Myunbong's positioning. He is taking a big risk here, but the Bionade could be enormous.
Straight into the backline. Crimzo's been caught. That's going to be the Supercharger engaged right into them, along with that self-destruct. And they've just absolutely torn them to pieces. Juby slept up. Still alive, but going to be staggered late into that fight. This is such good awareness from Boston Uprising, recognizing we need to take a risk here to try and win out this team fight, as Houston have the advantage.
And they're playing sublimely. They're catching Houston Outlaws off guard so many times. You could tell that Houston, previously, they've been pretty aware, but they had no idea that Myunbong was hiding there. Now they're being thorough, Piggy checking that corner. But now there's a Nano Blade online. This ult cycling is so much superior from Boston's comp. And so you play it a watch. Okay, it might be I'm37 with the Pulse Bomb, but mostly all eyes on Valentine.
Yep, and now he's going to be going for the kill. He forced out the Immortality Field. That was what they were waiting for. Now the Nano Blade comes through, and there's no counterplay to it. The damage is done. Valentine with 4. You've got to be kidding me. Absolutely massive plays here from the Boston Uprising. What a performance from them. They're going to get the late kill here onto Pig. On the board, 2-0 now for the Boston Uprising in this series.
Subverting my expectations enormously. The Boston Uprising have put on a masterclass right here. Their wins over the Vancouver Titans, Florida Mayhem, I was poo-pooing them. Okay, anyone can win against those teams right now. But this is special from Boston. They've turned me into a believer in 2 maps. What they just pulled out there, they made Houston look like the safe composition was the boring, weak composition. The level of proactivity from Boston, the way they take the team fights into their own hands, controlling the tempo at all times. Houston, into this halftime, need a strategic swap. Some shift in terms of their comp, the way that they're approaching things, maybe trying to bait Boston into bad engages. There needs to be a change right now, because Boston are controlling this match.
And a reminder, win this series and you've qualified for the knockouts. Boston playing for that opportunity to compete, and we're going to find out if they're going to be able to do it on the other side of this break, or is it the Houston Outlaws answering back with some changes, some strategic play in mind to try and get the win here today. We're going to find out in just a moment, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Just like summer, the competition is heating up. The ancient deity Haroeris has landed just in time to celebrate the Summer Showdown tournament. So get this legendary skin before July 19 for 200 League tokens right now on sale. Boot up the client, get the skin. And did you notice, Josh, that I screamed the pronunciation of Haroeris there? So I didn't, you know, maybe disguise the fact that I was butchering it a little bit. I don't know if it worked.
No, I think it worked. You also said it just on its own just then, and that was perfectly fine. I thought we told them to make it Greek mythology, though, not Egyptian. You know, we were well, what's going on there? I mean, taking a look at this, though, Brent, to draw it back into our game, McCree is a good way of trying to deal with the Tracer, with the Genji kind of stuff that's going on here. And Happy is one of our best McCrees, statistically, that we have in the league. He's been popping whenever he's played this hero. But it hasn't been working, and it's not necessarily through lack of trying or through lack of like ability from Happy. It's because Houston's composition can't take control of the game. They always have to react to what Boston are throwing at them. The McCree is very much a reactive pick when you're playing it. You have to wait for the Genji and the Tracer to engage onto you, and then it's your job to try and shut them down. If you're not fast, and not just fast, but if you don't preempt and anticipate those threats, you're not going to be in the right position to be able to deal with them as they come through. I feel like that's been the story of the game so far. Just Boston are controlling the tempo.
Yeah, and a lot of credit, I think, to Myeongbong as an individual. Throughout this game, the guy who's been setting up a lot of these plays and I guess taking a lot of the risks that we saw on Anubis, it's been him on the Ana. I mean, he's been putting up some pretty reasonable numbers here. The bionic grenade kills of 19 is just ridiculous. But it's the ult cycling as well that comes from the nano boost assists as well. I mean, it's all coming alive off the back of him as kind of like the centerpiece of this composition on the Ana.
He's a major part of the ult cycling for sure, because it's his healing that allows Stan 1 to play aggressive and build up his primals, and then the nanos are being kind of split. They're going on to Stan 1 if Valentine doesn't have ult, and if Valentine does have the ult, then they go for these big nano blade engages. It really is quite similar to what we were seeing teams do in the main melee, that kind of ult cycling going on. Except normally in the main melee you are seeing the Zarya being played, or the Tracer with an Ashe, something like that. So this is taking it to another extreme. I think most teams would try and play this with an Echo, and I kind of poo-pooed earlier the idea of the Atlanta Reign getting good value out of the Genji because they were running a shield comp. But Echo really has been the better option compared to the Genji in most of these scenarios. But Valentine is showcasing here that as long as you have access to a really good Ana player and you play with a lot of speed and aggression, you can get good value out of Genji.
Yeah, making it work. I love to see it. It's quite fantastic. Maybe he adds a bit of credit as well to was it Pelican as well, playing on the Genji. I don't know. I don't think this is what they had in mind.
But they were not playing Winston dive comps, Brent. Yeah, so I'm still going to dispute that.
They were not.
Hey, I want to take you back through time. I want to take you to the beginning of 2020. It's at a homestand, the Washington Justice homestand, and the Boston Uprising 1-1 playing against the Houston Outlaws 0-3. Totally different teams, the franchises at their bottom, and the El Clasico match that ended up going 7 maps in a row. It was just unbelievable. You know who ended up coming out on top of that? You know who ended up winning it? It was the Boston Uprising. All I'm saying is, this is a mirrored dimension where both teams are actually good, but we get another win for the Boston Uprising. They're harnessing that energy from the beginning of 2020 and forming it into this.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly trying for it. And the Houston Outlaws, again, going to be sticking with this double shield. Along with Dante on the Tourbillon to try and counteract this. A big Bionade onto Piggy, that forces out the Immortality field. Very early on, otherwise they're about to lose it, but I'm37 oversteps himself for just a moment. It gives them the opportunity they need. Myeongbong's next. Not able to get the damage done, and this time the Houston Outlaws come in with an appropriate response.
Yeah, well played. I mean, also though, this is before the ult cycle gets online. So these are the best opportunities for Houston to get momentum building really early on. Play fast, play aggressive yourself, and don't offer Boston the opportunities to get Bionades on you to be able to build up their ult charge. Valentine has made the shift away from Echo back over to the Genji here. But like I said, none of their ults are really close. You're looking for Myeonbong as the first person to generate his ultimate probably, and then that'll go on to stand one, build up the primal, get your ult cycle going in that way. So for Houston Outlaws, they do have a window of time here where they know there's no significant threat from Boston.
Now Boston are basically playing around, trying to get a big Bionade, I suppose, to set things up for them. They're dropping to the low ground a little bit here. 37 has to be so careful playing on this flank right now.
There's the
big Bionade catches onto Dante and Piggy, but is there going to be any follow-up? This card is still moving forwards. They need to try and build up these ultimates. They're trying to toe the line. Nanoboost now online. Stand One wants to try and take the fight right close quarters, onto the staircase, cleaving through them. It's so much damage, and it's the perfect follow-up for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, that was devastating. Houston were clearly anticipating that threat, though. They had Django pushing the payload essentially alone, and then as soon as Stand One went and took the nano boost to drop to the low ground, he got whip shot, and the Amp Matrix was put down immediately. The problem with the Amp Matrix is, if you don't have a good sightline in front of the Amp Matrix, they're just going to push past it. So the positioning there for Houston wasn't great, and when Stand One is inside an enclosed corridor, he's going to do tons of damage. Same with Valentine on Genji. He's at 90% of his blade, and he wasn't even playing it from the beginning of the map.
I'm 37 with the stick, he catches it onto Dante. And he's just cleaning up this fight now off the back of it. Valentine builds up the blade, obviously setting up a lot of these kills from the back of Stand One's Primal Rage. I gotta say as well, the unsung hero in these compositions is I'm 37. He has been towing the line perfectly against both the Torbjorn, the McCree, the Shield Basher, and the Brigitte. It's a hard composition to get value out of.
It really is, and he's playing it smartly because he's not trying to do too much. He's relying on the rest of his team to make space, and then he comes in and tickles the back, lands a pulse bomb, and just provides that assistance. Here's the ult cycle again, though, and again they're finding value. That immortality field falls so early on, and Valentine gobbles everyone up.
Yeah, the damage. I mean, this immortality field is just going to stagger them out. It's going to be taken out there. Not ideal for them. Outlaws just getting a bit held up here. Now, when we're talking about this ult cycling, this is now going to be the best opportunity for the Houston Outlaws. If you look at what Boston are working with, Pulse Bomb and Self-Destruct, that's going to be it. So they don't have the cycle of ultimates that is basically stalling up the Outlaws now. This is their time to shine.
The payload is so far pushed that they can just have Dante contest and they could wrap high ground. I think pathing high ground here is the best thing to do. Again, Boston are the attackers, though! They body blocked into the self-destruct there as well. They are catching Houston on the rotation. And I think that's why Houston were going so slowly there, was because they were anticipating Boston to drop on them as they went in. But they just couldn't find the bait. Boston didn't fall for it, and they found the perfect timing. How do you manage to win a team fight just out of a self-destruct? That's gross.
It actually is. Yeah, and they built up the Primal Rage now to try and stop this next push. The ult cycle coming alive for them. And if Stand One stays alive, uses the Primal to stall it out, it's going to be a lot of healing going the way of Myeonbong. Maybe building up the Nano Boost to get the engine roaring again. Bionade, potential is there. Catches onto two. It's going to be the Amp Matrix used, though. In close quarters, that's going to be finding that kill onto Happy. The Immortality field a little bit late there from Crimson. At a point, the card is being contested there as Dante knows it's going to be pulling them back, and it creates a small window of opportunity.
And it seems like this is the strategic change for the Outlaws, is Dante playing Tracer to continue the cart pressure the whole
Big
time.
pulse. Nano Boost applied. It has to be forced out onto Faith. The shield was actually going to be keeping him up there. Happy using the Deadeye as well to stall it out. So this Nano Boost isn't going to get anything. Happy so low, 12 HP. The Bionade connects. You're kidding me. Is he going to find that kill? No! It's going to get taken out. They need to rotate and wrap, though, onto this cart and push them away. This was good pressure being put out here by the Outlaws to push the payload that far up. But another lost team fight down to a minute 20.
I mean, the Houston Outlaws have not won a team fight, and now they're going to make significant changes. Happy taking the Tracer over, and Dante moving to Echo. But the Echo doesn't have the Mercy to be able to work with, and Django isn't making a change to go onto something more mobile either. So this is a very weird comp that the Houston Outlaws have ended up on. Happy, obviously, there to contest the objective, but they're facing a Blade here. Boston do have to drop back to try and make sure that the payload doesn't just get capped in.
Yes, they have to
I
play
don't really
inside.
get what Dante
Blade?
is going to do.
into the Bionade. They are catching it onto so many targets. Juby gets taken out. The Immortality Field wasn't there. Valentine, that is so cheeky. Just going for that kill in the air. Hubris from him, but just flying away. 30 seconds now for the Outlaws. This composition is just this Frankenstein of two different kind of identities that they're trying to put together, and it just does not have the aggression and speed they need to try and get through this castle section.
I don't get it. I feel like if Django was on the ball, then they could really focus on pressuring the objective constantly.
Nana
But
boost on
Django and
Orisa,
Orisa, it doesn't give them the space they need.
the Immortality Field is still being held. Crimson wants to just hold on to it. The stick comes through, it catches, but that's the damage. It comes through anyway. They burst through it like a hot knife through butter. And now with the Primal Rage, Stan1's just battering back anyone who might try and touch. That's going to be the environmental kill at the end onto Piggy. What a hold for them. They get the ult rotation going, they get the engine burning and running, and they just hold them onto the bridge. What a showcase of skill there from the Boston Uprising, keeping that consistency throughout the series.
I said at the beginning of this day, Bren, that today was supposed to be a clean win for both of the favorites. The Outlaws were going to come in and be able to win their game and dismiss Boston, and then Atlanta were going to be able to dismiss the London Spitfire. The first one went the way we thought, but this match is completely flipped on its head compared to the desk's expectations, my expectations as well. And also, it throws a real wrench in the works in terms of our understanding of the meta right now. We saw the top teams playing a lot of Rhine with Sim, and so we're like, okay, well, maybe that's the direction of the meta. Then we see these double shield teams play a lot, and Atlanta Reign coming out playing the same stuff. All right, well, maybe that's a good counter to the Rhine stuff. And now we're seeing that the Boston Uprising, and if we dial our brains back all the way to the Los Angeles Gladiators performance in week 1 too, then it seems like there is still this aggressive dive that you can play to try and tear bunker comps to pieces. The meta is so open, and it's making for some
really
electric series.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It hasn't settled. As much as teams think it's settling, I mean, Gator was in the interview saying, like, you know, we're moving over to the double shield because we perceive it as stronger. But it's so open. Boston have just come out swinging here with this composition, and the Outlaws are struggling to adapt to what's being thrown at them. They really are. Outlaws on the defense have switched up their comp. Still, they've got Django on the Orisa as this kind of anchor central piece, but they're also running the Ana and the Mercy as well.
So Boston Uprising are probably not going to have that many opportunities to push in before their ults come online. Unless they can get a really good dive from Valentine and I'm 37, but there's normally too many tools. Now, having said that, they don't have that Immortality Field to be able to work around. So Boston's dive has more opportunities to just isolate Crimzo on the Ana.
Yeah, it really does. Dante's just trying to put in a bit of poke damage. It is so odd. But this is the adaptation that Houston are trying to make here. Huge Bionades from Crimzo have been stopping every push attempt, by the way, always catching it on 2. But Boston are happy to just kind of just weather this out, I suppose, and build up these ultimates, because that is what this composition is going to rely on.
And it's so much faster from Myeonbong. Because Stan1 always takes poke damage, whereas Django doesn't, Myeonbong is at 95% right now. He does get caught by the Bionade, but Boston can just back off and push back in with the Nano. This one goes on to Stan1, and Crimzo could just get deleted.
Yep, that's the Nano boost, and that's going to be the duplicate built up by Dante. He recognizes it, but Juby gets taken out. Still, they want to be playing aggressive right into them here. Punk's going to get demexed now, and Dante with this ultimate is doing good work here, just kind of separating the rest of Boston as they try and take this fight. Bassano away, saving the leap though. Stamman wants to stay into the fight, but the beam will finish him off.
Okay. So this Frankenstein comp is actually a good response from the Houston Outlaws because it gives them the ability to be proactive. Dante has the tempo to be able to match the ultimates. Because he's getting damage boosted all the time, he has duplicate online frequently in a similar way to the ult cycling of the Boston Uprising. And Crimzo is going to be able to apply these Bionades to slow down Boston and stop them from taking all of this space. I'm still concerned about how easy Crimzo is to dive, but it's going to take something special from Boston.
Nano boost onto Dante, but he slept in the air! What is that? Myanmar goes down to the bombs anyway, obviously damage boosted up, but that's Crimzo taken out from the post bomb. No cooldowns available. Stanmon's in there, Spawn, for goodness sake. Happy's been removed from the fight, and Stanmon's got the support of his team. Dante forced out of the fight anyway. This is absurd.
That is wild. The Myeonbong still providing value from the grave there, because all all of their eggs were in the Dante basket. They applied the nano boost to him, they had the damage boost on him as well from the Mercy, and the sleep just gets fired out. Now the Boston Uprising, though, trying to attack upwards, which is very difficult when you're attacking Eigenball. Happy is always going to have this high ground control. Supercharger can be put in really defensible positions. But they are getting close to this Nano Blade, and Nano Blade has just been value every time from Valentine so far.
Yeah, it's the chip damage. The chip damage is building up these ultimates. Dante has the duplicate, though. That'll probably be the response. In fact, they might not even need it. Happy hits the head. Valentine fours a wonderful pickoff for them as well. He's just putting in that consistent damage, and that allows Dante to follow up with a damage boost on top of him. He can capitalize.
And here's where it gets tricky for Valentine, because he wants to get close to his targets before he just pops the blade. Because if he just decides to dash up towards where Happy's positioned, Happy's probably going to realize that happens. Just roll away from him, back off, create space, and Dante can go in with his duplicate. This is tough, and they have no ability to push the payload without taking a team fight. When we watched Houston attack, their Orisa comp could just push the payload safely. But the Orisa and the D.Va are always going to be able to contest this objective more than the Winston can.
How do you get in here? Houston holding on to 6 ultimates. Well, I'm37 is behind them. Crimso's aware of this. Bionate sent in. Stan1 so weak. The blade stepped up, though. Valentine's not going to get anything with it. The Ana play is tremendous. The post bomb, defensive post bomb, deflected to the kill to Happy. What?
Uh-oh.
He laid the post bomb down next to him like a stuffed toy in bed for a child, and it protected him. Valentine couldn't be taken down. He's still a threat, though, and now look at the poke. Crimso's in so much trouble, just has to dodge and juke away from him, but he's being dived by 3 members of Boston. Eventually the kill goes his way, and it's been cracked wide open by Boston.
What a mistake from Happy. You could see it in his face, the reaction. He was not happy with the mistake that he just made there. Valentine was dead to rights. He was caught completely. The flashback, the nano boost onto Happy, and then a sleep dart from Crimso as well. Crimso gave Happy all the tools to be able to deal with that. And as he uses the Deadeye, I'm37's Pulse Bomb just stops that from being the win condition. And he shoots the deflecting Genji. This has given the Boston Uprising an in.
Supercharger, though, that has to come up big, but Happy goes down still. They have the damage available to them. The hold. Punk's just got to try and get this bomb, trying to use the South-Destruct to get back into his mech. Jangu battered around, doesn't have to fortify for 1 more second, but he's still alive somehow, but not for much longer. Stan1 chases him down, and this is going to be the late D-Mech now onto Piggy. Didn't opt to use the South-Destruct, wants to save it. They have one final team fight, but with Boston Uprising taking forward positioning, almost building up to the blade, has the nano boost in hand. This is so difficult now.
Do you give the nano to Stan1, or do you wait for the Valentine to be able to get up to his ultimate? Jangu desperately trying to touch, they barely made it. The Valentine is eating them.
He didn't even pull out the blade. A little bit of a whiff from him, but 2 kills anyway with the nano boost applied, just in the sure neutral fight. Slashed in the air, the Boston Uprising take it. No issue whatsoever. Held up a little bit at the gate for sure, but at the end of the day, the Boston Uprising have put on an absolute clinic here, and they're going to take the series 3-0. Show me an individual who had this prediction dotted down in their pick'ems today. I want to shake your hand.
That's an absurd one. The Houston Outlaws were looking so strong coming into this game, and I don't even think particularly that Houston would have been bad if Boston had played a normal comp into them. If Boston Uprising had come out here and just gone toe-to-toe on the Orisa comps or had tried to play Rhine, I think the Houston Outlaws could have won this game. I don't think it was that poor of a performance from them. They just simply couldn't deal with the pace, the tempo, and the violence of Valentine and the rest of the Boston Uprising. This was a spectacular performance from Boston. They had a counter comp in mind, the strategy worked to perfection, and they executed it just immaculately. What a performance that rockets them into a positive win rate for the season. They are now 6-5, delivering Houston Outlaws their 2nd ever regular season loss. Since losing to the Atlanta Reign in Week 6, that's it. That's all the Houston Outlaws have had. And now the Boston Uprising have delivered the 2nd.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's take a look at our player of the match. We could have given this to so many individuals on Boston. There was one player who was really, though, the forward approach coming out from him as well when it came to the Genji gameplay throughout this entire series was unreal. It's Valentine. who's going to be earning it. Obviously supported by many members of the Boston Uprising, Stand One and Myeongbong, notable members obviously setting up with the Bionades and the Nanoboost and the Primal Rage to even allow this to happen. But of course this guy is the one who's filling up the kill feed, and that's what we're going to be giving it to him at the end of the day. What an absurd performance from Boston again. There's no other way to really put it. I mean, my synonym rule book, I mean, it doesn't really stretch that far when it comes to describe plays like this. It's just sheer amazement from me, from them being able to do this.
Oh, that kill there is just so impactful. And also, I'm37 deserves some credit as like a supportive Tracer player on this team too.
Surviving against the Torb and the McCree,
being able to survive, and then also being able to force out Immortality Field for Valentine, to lay down that Pulse Bomb to stop Happy killing Valentine. There are many supportive elements that help Valentine get these kills, but at the end of the day, you've still got to produce results. You are setting up your star player, but the star player still has to perform, and perform he did. Valentine with a ridiculous 8.2 Dragon Blade kills per 10 minutes, getting over 2 kills every single time he pops the blade. On average, that's monstrous. That is some really good stuff coming out in what is quite specifically not a Genji meta right now.
It's not, is it? It's not. Well, it might become one. We never know. The meta seems to be up in the air, and it seems like Boston Uprising getting this win against the Houston Outlaws potentially has opened everybody's eyes to the possibilities. Well, we're going to go to a short break. On the other side of things, of course, we've got an interview with Valentine. You don't want to miss that one. And obviously, the Watchpoint post-show, we're going to be breaking down the matches that we've seen thus far. But what a way to start our week off with some upsets. You know, Josh, you know, we only casted 3-0s, but I had fun doing it. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a good 3-0 to end the day. It was a good day of Overwatch, wasn't it? Well, we're going to find out on the other side of the break what Valentine has to say about that win, and we'll catch you soon enough. Don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Sorry guys, okay. Welcome to Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We're joined now by Valentine from Boston Uprising. Congratulations on the win today. Valentine 선수, I knew that you guys were going to win. I picked Boston over Houston, so I'm very happy to see you guys win. 발렌타인 선수, 오늘 경기 제가 또 보스턴 이길 거라고 알고 있었기 때문에 정말 축하드립니다.
아니 다 중계진들은 다 휴스턴 찍은 걸 봤는데 네, 뭐 그렇다면은 감사합니다. 네.
Right. Yeah, Valentine says, I mean, I did all of our players on Boston Uprising, including myself. We all saw that the desk analysts all picked Houston, but if you are going to lie like that, then I guess I'll just say thank you. Well, no, thank you for winning. Yeah, and I definitely did. I think it was production who messed it up. But anyways, all right, let's go into the questions. So while most teams are opting for the double shield and slower compositions these days, you guys turned the table around and went full dive with Genji and Tracer. How was this decision made? And did you sort of see a weakness in the current double shield composition, or were you guys just playing to your strength? 자, 첫 번째 질문은 요즘 북미에서 어떻게 보면은 좀 조합 트렌드가 조금 이제 투방벽 아니면 조금 더 천천히 하는 그런 조합들 많이 이제 쓰여지고 있는데 보스턴은 좀 완전히 다르게 180도로 바꿔서 윈디겐트 완전 풀 다이브 조합으로 가셨습니다. 그렇게 해서 오늘 승리를 거두시게 되는데 이 결정을 좀 어떻게 만드셨는지 지금 현재 보이는 그 투방벽 조합에 좀 약점을 보셨나요? 아니면은 그냥 보스턴의 좀 제일 강점을 살리기 위해서 이런 윈디겐트 풀 다이브로 가셨나요?
저희가 저번 주차까지는 저희도 수비적인 되게 천천히 하는 조합을 했었는데 저희 감독님이 아무리 봐도 그냥 이 템포 높은, 템포 빠른 그냥 다이브 조합이 더 좋은 것 같다, 무조건 좋은 것 같다 해가지고 저희는 믿고 따라하는데 이렇게 결과가 좋게 나온 것 같아요.
Right, so up until last week, we sort of went the defensive route, how all the other teams were playing. We're opting for a slower composition, slower tempo play style. But while in scrims and practicing last week and with those compositions, our coach sort of kept on saying that, I feel like it's better for us to just go fast tempo, go to the dive composition. I think that's what our strengths are. I think we should just play that. And so we sort of believed our coaches, and so we went to the Genji Diva, Winston dive compositions, and that's how we won today's game, and I'm very happy that we found success through that composition. All right, my next question for you, Valentine, is your next match is against the Atlanta Reign. Do you expect the match to go just as how it did today, given that they've been also running mostly double shield, and as we've seen today, they actually ran almost all double shield in today's match for Atlanta Reign. 자, 두 번째 질문은 이제 다음 경기가 아틀란타 팀과의 경기가 있을 텐데 오늘 경기를 보셨을지 모르겠지만은 아틀란타 팀도 휴스턴과 좀 비슷하게 투방벽을 많이 쓰는 팀으로 이제 경기를 하고 있는데요. 그렇기 때문에 아틀란타와의 경기 좀 오늘과 좀 비슷하게 갈 것 같다고 예상을 하시나요?
솔직히 말해서는 애틀란타가 진짜 잘한다고 생각을 하고요. 그 템포 느린 조합을. 그래가지고 오늘보다는 진짜 좀 힘들 것 같긴 한데 그래도 쉽게 이길 수 있도록 노력해 보겠습니다.
Right. I truly believe that Atlanta Reign is a great team when it comes to a slower tempo composition. They're one of the best teams utilizing those slow tempo compositions. So I don't think it's going to be an easy match. It is going to definitely be a difficult fight for us, but we're just going to try hard and get that win against the Atlanta Reign for our next match. All right, Valentine, thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for your interview. 발렌타인 선수 오늘 인터뷰와 승리 너무나 다시 한번 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
All right, thank you so much. Listen back to the desk.
Thanks a lot, Danny. Cheers to Valentine. Just like Danny, of course, I also technically picked Boston.
Right.
If you lie like that, can you at least include us and not make us look like the bad guys? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you guys weren't in the interview room, so I mean, I didn't see you guys.
But
sorry,
I still hear you. Like just saying.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you guys. So I mean, hey,
well, that's nice.
I need to save myself.
Y'all are weak, okay? I predicted the Houston Outlaws. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You know, we go down together. I'm sure there's tons of people who predicted the Houston Outlaws. We take the L. Good job, wasn't Uprising. I'm taking the L today.
And if everyone takes the L today together, it's, shared pain is less pain. kind of,
Right.
maybe.
Misery loves
No
company.
Yeah.
pay.
That's it.
That's
Spreading Houston wrong, that truly is misery. Oh, yeah.
It's hard out here, you know.
Yeah, I had plenty of that over the years. Oof. Oh, well.
Well, I want to talk about today's match though, because Boston played so well. They were on point, on the same page. Like their comms were clearly clean. You can see that in a lot of different aspects in that game. I was especially impressed on Anubis. Just the way they were able to work it out with each other, communicate. Like, you know, they had great ult combinations. It was just everything clicked for them. They looked really, really dominant.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, their old combinations, their game planning, of course, you know, setting up all these ultimates, making sure you get value from your ultimates. We had plenty of pop-off moments, and I mean, we saw that Primal Rage coming up there as well from the record player. But then also you had Blades consistently from Valentine throughout the entire series. He got value from these, and it's hard to get value from a Dragon Blade these days. It's not often we see Genji because he is sort of ult-reliant. You need to get value from this Dragon Blade, but Valentine, he kept finding it, even though Houston Outlaws, they had Ruby playing that Brigitte, and that is very impressive. So, yeah, so I mean, to sum it up, everything went really well for the Boston Uprising. The game planning, the ultimate value, the individual skill, I mean, it was a fantastic game from the Boston Uprising. This was probably their best match of the season. I don't think you could argue differently. Like, this was their best performance and their best result so far this season.
It's funny because we talk about how easy the double shield is to execute, and that's what makes it good, and Gator said the same thing in his recent interview. The reason a lot of people don't play this Winston Genji dive is because it's hard to execute. It's like an uphill battle. But Boston Uprising just sprinted up that hill. They just had massive plays left and right, just all their players really clicking, and just really playing well as individuals, but also as a team in terms of their ult combos and their synergies, as Johnny was saying. So, different Boston Uprising that we've seen over the last couple of years. They look like they're polished, they look like they're playing well, and their players can step up when they need to. I'm excited to see how far they can go in the Summer Showdown, because we saw them hit the top 6 in the June Joust, but they just sort of fizzled away and didn't make it to Hawaii. I think this team, with how they're looking right now, there's potentials. They just took down the 9-1 Houston Outlaws and made it look easy.
Exactly.
And I'm actually,
like, as you say, it's an uphill battle. Oh, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, no, I personally I'm just happy that Boston won, because I think this makes just everything so much more exciting and fun. Like I personally thought, you know, like
You like the chaos,
going like
don't
dive. Yeah, no, I love the chaos, and not only that, like going dive into a double shield, I always thought it was they would have the disadvantage, but Boston today clearly proved that, you know, they could be, even using a dive competition, you could decimate double shield comps, and it's just, you know, it's refreshing.
It's refreshing, very entertaining comp to watch as well, if executed on a level as the Boston Uprising did today.
Right.
And quite frankly, looking at that franchise in general, I feel like usually when they head into games, and that goes years back already, they always had a game plan, but I think this is the first time I can just genuinely say it's been executed to perfection, to a T. Like they were on it. So great stuff from the Boston Uprising, and one of their great alt combinations actually made it into our alt economy presented by State Farm. There we go. Costa, walk us through this one.
This was a doozy. This is great play by Stand One and Punk. So obviously we just look at the kill feed. We're gonna see Punk blows up this bomb, kills like 3 people, and every little bit of, you know, extra things, a lamp, a turret, and everything under the sun got blown up. But the unsung hero of this is Stand One right here. You're going to see him go in with the primal, push everyone around, and make it really hard. You see him push them back into the bomb at the last second. Punk wouldn't have got anywhere near as much value if Stand One hadn't gone in and also paired his ultimate with it. So I don't know how much that was called and coordinated, but it looks flawless, and it went well. And they needed this. They are going up against the Houston Outlaws, who have 4 minutes in the time bank. They're about to finish this entire cap. If they didn't get this hold, then it might have really created this cascading effect for the rest of the series. So Boston Uprising get this hold, and then Valentine picks up the blade, and it got really easy from there. So great play by the Boston Uprising, and great synergy from Punk and Stand One.
Good stuff. More of that. Very, very excited to see more of them.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's the one which tickles him. I like it. Also, happy birthday, Reinforced, in case we haven't said it about 100 times today.
Thank you. Yeah.
Does it lose
It loses
meaning
its
and
meaning.
value?
Yes.
Does it?
It does.
It does? No, it doesn't. Today's your
We've been
day, man.
congratulating him like maybe every fight. And when I say we, it's mainly Danny. But we mean it. We mean it. It comes from our heart.
Every silence, I'll just be like, hey,
I
John.
will try to put on a
Yes.
show. I will try. I will try,
Guys,
Danny. So.
we appreciate that. We appreciate a well-executed lie. Now, I do want to talk about the first match of the day. Atlanta Reign, they went up against the London Spitfire. Not a big surprise, they did win that match. However, they did make the adjustments which we initially asked of them to make. But Costa, now I'm worried because they're going to go up against Boston, and Boston just dismantled this kind of comp. So is Atlanta Reign forced to switch back now? Or, I mean, they can, right? They have what it takes, at least.
I don't really know. It's kind of like a no, go back kind of moment for the Atlanta Reign. Obviously, they looked great against the London Spitfire, but Boston just showed that they can do it easily against the team that I think the Atlanta Reign took it from in the Houston Outlaws. So tomorrow is going to be a really interesting match because Atlanta Reign is obviously a very different team. They have a lot of different skill sets. But the thing that I do want to say about Atlanta is they are known and they always speak about how versatile and flexible they are, and they truly are. So are they going to see this match from today and come back and learn from what the Houston Outlaws failed on and maybe try something different? Maybe if they go back towards these Ryan Lucio compositions, they'll be able to deal with the Genji from the Boston Uprising. It'll be a very interesting match tomorrow because both of these teams have a lot to play for.
Can I bring the Houston Outlaws podium here?
Okay.
Can I do that? Because I feel pretty bad for the Houston Outlaws probably, because as we take a look at their season so far, okay, melee knockouts. They get Dallas Fuel with their Reinhardt Symmetra Rampage they were on, just throwing the shock in the Houston Outlaws. And then, of course, we have the June Zhao's knockouts. Well, you play the Dallas Fuel again, and you're just going to get run over, and you have no way to change your composition or like work out what you want to do. And now you play against the Boston Uprising. They just come out with this Genji Sombra composition. No one had any idea this was happening. Who has been screaming this? Where's this been? No one had any idea. Atlanta Reign, they were like, yeah, Double Shield is the best composition. And I generally trust the Atlanta Reign. I feel bad for the Houston Outlaws. They were in no way they would have expected a Sombra Genji composition to come out here. And they got absolutely rinsed. So now they had to deal with the fact that they were showing everyone else what the Boston Uprising were capable of. Houston Outlaws, they're going to make the adjustments necessary. They're still going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Summer Showdown Qualifiers, if they make it, if they win their next match this weekend. And for Atlanta Reign, you know, I think a lot of teams will be able to prepare for the Boston Uprising accordingly now. They know what the Boston Uprising do, they know what their strengths are, and now they can utilize some time to prepare.
It's one thing knowing, it's the other thing to be better as well. So let's see what they have in store, you know, for us heading into the match tomorrow. Let's take a look at our Summer Showdown standings here in the Western region. Now Boston Uprising is in the knockout rounds for Sunday, and the other teams are still battling it out. Atlanta Reign will go up against Boston tomorrow, so that's going to be exciting. We also, of course, have the battle for Texas coming your way. Another big match. Just across the board, we have a lot of exciting matches still to be played to really determine what's going to go down in the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, as we all predicted, Boston and Paris were going to be the first two teams to qualify for the Summer Showdown, right? Yeah, of course. But that's just that's all of a sudden we only have 4 spots for teams that we have a lot of teams we think should make it. Dallas Fuel, Atlanta Reign, Houston Outlaws, San Francisco Shock, Los Angeles Gladiators. Even Justice looked good at some point. There's only 4 spots left. Someone's going to have to miss out. So that's why the next couple of days of matches are going to be so important.
Yeah, and we always, of course, want to have you keep an eye on that map differential, as it might come down to that as well. Well, talent predictions. Started off strong, then we kind of dropped the ball, did we?
Yeah, I think everyone dropped the ball, as Johnny said. So, you know, hey, props to Boston.
I feel like I cursed us in the stonks and dongs segments in the pre-show.
True.
No volatility. Bull run's gonna continue. Everything's gonna be grand. Well, that's a crash, if anything. Pull the circuit.
I love that there's no real loser here, is there?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Everyone's a winner.
Just look at us. Yeah. I mean, no, we're all just second
I'm more of
place,
a
and then
winner
there's
if
Costa.
I'm going to technicalities.
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
All right, Costa. Way to be part of a team.
Watch out.
Gee.
Friends.
Well, as we let him gloat and enjoy his moment once again, he had quite a lot of those though, so maybe we have to cut down on the enjoyment moments. We will be right back in a moment to give you our best of the day, as there have been quite a lot, even though we only had 2 matches. Don't go anywhere. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. There's one thing left to do, and that is, of course, wishing Reinforce a happy birthday again. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Nah.
Yeah.
We got more for you, Reinforce. A
Nice.
special gift, a critically acclaimed gift, some might say, and that is our best moments of the day, which we want to share with you because I know it's your favorite segment, right? Everyone's favorite segment,
Yes.
probably.
Yes. I do fancy Ultimate Economy, but you know, best of the day is also.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But best of the day, ooh, kinda clean. Always. Now,
Not gonna lie.
my first one was not clean though. It was a bit filthy, and I kind of liked it. That's a quotable right there. That's, of course, the end of the match between the Atlanta Reign and the London Spitfire. You know, sometimes you just gotta throw those bans out, and I was thoroughly entertained. Bit of a murder which took place, admittedly so, but I've always been a big fan of crime scenes and shows, rather, not crime scenes. Crime scenes are awful. The shows are very interesting though. Whoops. So that sentence went places. No, but I thought this was really funny. I laughed. It's obviously all in good bands. There is, of course, lots of banter going on right now, revolving around soccer or football or whatever you want to call it. You know, some might take it more personal than others. I personally was not offended. I'm also not an English fan, so...
If anyone should have been offended, it should have been Josh and Brent. They were the ones who were really dying and coming home. But they had a good time,
I feel like they actually were offended, though. I think Brent was hurt. That one hit which was double funny for us, really.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. Well.
But moving onwards and upwards to things that I think I shouldn't like, but I very much do like, because Valentine brought out the Genji, and at first I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe Boston is shooting themselves in the foot. They tried to do the same thing at the start of the season. But no, I'm going to show you the first Valentine 4K. But just be aware, this happened many more times throughout the rest of this series. This was just the first one, and I got excited. I was like, my best of the day. And then a lot more happened. This was a clean 4K from Valentine, showing his flexibility on this Genji. Even gives us a nice little taunt at the end for it, but he had to have been just one of the best players that we've had. Like, one of the best performances we've had in the Summer Showdown. Doing something different, making it work, and looking good while he did it.
Also, I think this is super interesting now. Not because of Bo. I do think Bo is interesting, but because we have 1 week to go until the actual Summer Showdown stage playoffs. And all we've talked about is our Shanghai Dragons in the APAC region. They're the ones playing Dive. They're the ones playing Sombra Tracer, Wrecking Ball, which we haven't seen at all in the North American region. But now Boston Uprising, they just throw a spanner in the works. Just like, hey, Dive is actually viable. How are the North American teams going to react? Are we going to see Wrecking Ball being played now in North America? Are we going to see more Genji Sombra? How is that going to work with Shanghai Dragons playing the Wrecking Ball comp? 1 week to go until the stage playoffs, and so many interesting developments could take place in terms of the meta. Yes?
True.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yes, loud applause. We'll go onwards to my best of the day.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, Danny.
Happy birthday!
Yes. And to celebrate my birthday, of course, thank you so much to production and my fellow desk friends. Thank you for the cake.
We're friends now.
I really appreciate it.
Yay,
I really appreciate the cake.
Oh, that's your best of the
earlier in
day.
This is a perfect cake because it has a fish on it. I mean, it's fish cake. Is fish cake an actual thing? I don't even know. But there's a fish. Look at the fish. I don't know what kind of fish it is. It's a fish nonetheless. There's like
looks like a trout
shells on the cake itself. Yeah.
Salmon?
It looks like a trout.
Yeah, maybe it's a trout. Yeah, maybe
I don't know my fishes. That looks like a
That's okay. Well, but people need to understand the backstory here, reinforced. Like your OG story, like your upbringing, your home. Like we tried to give you a little bit of that.
Yeah. Johnny used to live in a nice hut.
Yeah, fishing village.
He used to be a trout.
He used to be a trout.
Wow.
Did you evolve into a human being? How long did that take?
I still have gills, you know. If I go underwater, I can still breathe on the water.
Success story.
It's a bit of an Aquaman. Is it Aquaman? No. Well, what's that other movie called?
Waterworld? Waterboy?
Waterworld? Yeah, Waterworld.
Merman.
Merman. Which one was it?
Merman. No?
Not a fan of Waterworld, but you know they had gills and stuff. That was cool.
All right, let's move on to my best of the day. It's another great play from Boston Uprising. This one for IM37, and he sticks a really big pulse bomb onto Happy, and Happy comes in to kill the nanoed Valentine, if you see right here, and then as soon as he's about to go, IM37 does a pulse bomb and saves his beautiful teammate. And I just found that beautiful. Because I never see that ever in my ranked games. And
I don't think I've ever seen this either, of like someone getting high nooned on the ground and then someone saves them with a pulse bomb. That's actually pretty unique. It's actually like 9 hit as well by IM37.
What a hero.
So, genius.
IM37 is a hero. Hero 37. From that match.
I like that. That's good. Good stuff.
I'm Hero 37.
Yeah, we're keeping that one.
Okay.
See, no, double clever. I like it. That sums up our best of the day. What a great day it's been, even though a very short one. Now, of course, we do have more matches coming your way starting tomorrow. So let's take a look at our schedule for Friday in the Western region. The Justice will face off against the London Spitfire, followed by the Gladiators and the Toronto Defiant. And the last one is going to be the battle for or of Texas. Yahoo, as they say in Texas.
Yahoo! On that horse. Yahoo!
Yeah, no, I'm so pumped. That one is, I believe, also a homestand, right? We're gonna see them play in Dallas. That's exciting.
It's a home. It's
a home.
There'll be a crowd.
There will be people.
Yeah,
I want to go to Dallas.
Which would be nice. All right, but seriously, the most important thing of today that we haven't really discussed yet is it Jiggy or is it Pingu?
Pingu.
Did we
find the winner?
What did the people say? Did we come up with a conclusion? Did we do a poll in the end, or did that just never happen?
We did two polls.
We did two polls?
I'm pretty sure we had two polls and both of them went in favor of
Pingu?
I want to recount.
Or Jiggy? It was Pingu? Nice, it was Pingu.
I do think Pingu looks jiggy as well, so it all works kinda. But we still, credit where credit's due. Custa, I still think that it's a valid choice. Right. And a great shout out. Maybe.
Yeah, I just really wish we had a Pingu dance, like or something. You know how they dance, like
but
they
it's just like squeezing.
They just bounce. I love it.
Isn't that just
Sorry,
jumping?
Can you do that again, Johnny?
Dancing?
Just real quick. Just want to see that.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do it again. One more time.
Happy birthday, Johnny! Happy birthday!
It's time to
birthday dance.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, are we just jumping? How is this a dance? I don't care.
What have I done? Happy birthday, Johnny!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Johnny! Yeah, Yahoo! Yay!
Yahoo!
Pingu! Yay!
Yahoo!
Pingu, get jiggy with.
Winston.